start obviously talking about tonight. Well, we touched on some of the deaths. I want to talk about the early part of the 70s. Whether it be let's delve into it. Let's start off with some of the rock groups we like, shall we, Bill?
Well, let us do that.
So, look, how could we not talk about this guy who still has Hot 100 hits to this day? Elton John. Let's talk about him for a second.
We did you forgot something.
What did I forget?
Sir Elton John.
Oh, excuse me.
There's 3 people whose names we have to address them by their titles.
Sir Paul McCartney.
Sir Elton John. And Dr. Matt Hemsley.
And Dr. Matt Hemsley, our dear friend, Dr. Matt Hemsley.
Those are 3 people whose names we have to address by their title.
Yes, absolutely, buddy. Absolutely.
Oh, and Dr. Otis Williams, we have to call him
Dr. Otis Williams of the Temptations, of course.
Oh, yeah, okay. So there's a few people whose names we have to address by their full and proper titles.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, Sir Elton John just had a hit again in the 21st century. He just had a Hot 100 with one of his songs off his most recent album that has been charting like crazy. But his career started, though, in the 70s.
Yes, it did.
I mean, how could we forget how, like, you think about his first album was 1969, but his second album, which was called Elton John, whatever, it had to hit Your Song on it, and Your Song took off. Then Tiny Dancer. Then Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word. Then Goodbye Yellow Brick Road.
Crocodile Rock, Daniel.
You could make a greatest hits playlist of just his 70s hits, and you could be hooked forever. He is just that good of a composer. And you know, it's funny. He did not write any of the lyrics to his songs.
No, it was all by Bernie Taupin.
Correct. Bernie Taupin wrote all the lyrics. He was the musician. He was the musical guy, part of it. But Elton John did all the music. But Bernie Taupin wrote all the lyrics to all of his songs. And I got to tell you, they have composed some of the greatest possible like songs of all time. Your Song.
Oh, I don't debate you on that.
Answer. No. When you talk about legends, he's up there for sure as one of the greatest of all time. He just had a hit a couple weeks ago. It's September of 2022. He had a hit on the Hot 100 in 2022. How many 75-year-olds do you see doing that?
Not a lot of them.
None. Barely any.
Zip.
At all. Zilch. Nada. Come on. Let's be real. But Elton John, I had the privilege of not meeting him personally, but like meeting his band in 2019. It's funny. I want to tell this story because Bill was at the show too. So
yes.
Bill, it was his 70th Madison Square Garden performance. Super excited about the show. I'm not going to disclose who this person is in my life, but so-and-so got VIP tickets and met us there for me and my family to go see Elton John at his 70th Madison Square Garden show in 2019. And that being said, we got to meet the band. We got to meet Davey Johnstone. We got to meet Nigel Olsen as drummer. We got to meet the whole band in backstage. And I've told this story before in the Super Review Show. One of the coolest moments of my life was actually but he was just in the VIP lounge standing right behind me. That was as close to like a superstar I've ever literally physically gotten to, which was Michael Stipe of REM. We'll get to him when he talked about the 80s. But
REM was more 90s though, right?
Their first album was 1982.
Okay, I guess we'll talk about them next week when we talk about the 80s.
We'll talk. The 80s should be a long discussion, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, Michael Stipe was at the show. He stood right behind me. He was just talking about like the stock market or how whatever it was doing. But
just quick question. Did you want to turn around and go, oh, hi, Michael Stipe. Hi, nice to meet you.
My aunt, it's funny. The person I was with literally said, do not talk to him. I don't know him. I said, okay. As much as I wanted to talk
to opportunity to get to know him.
I was like, Michael Stipe of REM, I love you to death. Your band is one of the biggest influences in my life. Come on, So I don't know. But it was something. But Elton John, though, put on a hell of a show at Madison Square Garden that night. And Bill and I were thoroughly entertained, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to say for the record, I wasn't with him. I was with my family. So
Yes, correct. Bill was with his family, and I was with my family. But we saw the show together to an extent, and we loved it. I mean, the guy
it was amazing.
He can still kill it this late in his career.
Like I was like just sitting there mesmerized.
Yeah, I mean, incredible, right? Yeah, incredible performance by Elton John.
It was, and the funniest thing, how I got tickets to that show. It's actually a funny story. Can I tell it really quick?
Yes, of course. Go ahead.
I remember like a year before, my parents got tickets to see him in Boston.
Okay.
And I'm like, wait, just you two? Because I wanted to see him. Sorry, we kind of want to go by ourselves. I'm like, fine. And then about a few days later, we were at my grandmother's birthday dinner. And a couple of my parents, I told them, oh, we're going to go see Elton John next November in Boston. Yeah, my parents had to get tickets like a year in advance. And my aunt was like saying, oh, I want to try to go. Two of my aunts and one of my uncles were talking like, oh, I want to try to get tickets to see him in March at the Barclays Center. And my other aunt was like, ooh, I'd like to go. And then my uncle, count me in. And then I remember saying, wait, you guys are trying to get tickets to see Elton John at the Barclays? And my aunt goes, yep. And there's an awkward silence. And my aunt goes, do you want to go? I'm like, yes. I'm like, yes. She goes, okay, we'll keep in touch. And you're thinking, is it really going to happen? Or is it one of those, I'm just going to say this to keep you happy and shut you up? Then like a couple weeks later, she texts me going, hey, you want to go Elton John, March 6th, the Garden, you in? I'm like, yes, so in. And that was, honest to God, one of the greatest concerts I've ever seen in my life.
He does put on a great show, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, and it was just such an amazing show. And knowing that he's on his farewell tour, don't despair, folks. He'll be on it for another 20 years.
Yeah, he'll be on it for until like 2026. If he's trying to hit every venue, then forget it. So
yeah, I've said this before, and knock on wood, this man will die before he retires.
Literally, he's so iconic. He's so like everything. But
this man will literally die before he retires.
Yeah, literally. It's actually crazy. So
yeah, he's gonna die before he retires because I really don't think he wants to say goodbye.
No, I mean, he has 2 young kids at home now, like they're adopted, but he loves them. And he wants to spend the rest of his life with them. So there's that. I mean, if your dad is Elton John, then come on. So I mean,
he's one of those people who had, became a parent later in his life.
Yeah, with his husband. I think David is his name. I don't even know.
David Furnish, yes.
Yes. So this is why we have Bill here.
And you know who their godmother is?
Who, Bill?
Lady Gaga.
I did not know that. How about that?
And I remember I actually saw Lady Gaga on an interview with Ellen DeGeneres, and they were talking about that, going, wow, the way he used to dress and the way you dress, those 2 kids are going to grow up and go, why is everybody so boring? Because back in the 70s, Elton used to have the big flashy costumes.
Oh yeah, if back in the 70s, he was so crazy on stage. I mean, literally, he would be like crazy costumes. He wore like a giant duck outfit at one point at like Live Aid. It's crazy times for him. He's always been very flamboyant with his personality, if you will.
But his 70s stuff is absolutely great.
I mean, his performance, his music in the 70s, just in general, is fantastic. I mean, it's so good. And I was just listening to it before we started our live stream tonight. And Tiny Dancer, Somebody saved my life tonight. Sorry seems to be the hardest word. Funeral for a friend, love lies bleeding. The guy is Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting. I mean, come on. He is a legend and forever will be a legend, even if he doesn't retire or does retire. I don't know. He's on a farewell tour, but hey, it's been going on since 2018, 2019. So there you go. But honestly, and just his music is timeless. It'll stand the test of time forever and ever. Truthfully, honest to God.
Yes.
So
His music is timeless, and whenever he does retire, his music will never be forgotten.
exactly, like there are radio stations, FM or AM, even XM, that will play his music forever, literally ever. So it's crazy.
Forever
and ever. So that's all we. Your excuse. That's all we got for Elton John.